Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and this is another episode of Is It Worth My Time? This time I'm going through the Netflix series, October Faction. So there we go. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first to begin with, and then I'll get into it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe, as you can see down below there. If you're still on the fence about subscribing at the very end of this video, you can see a video pop up here. Basically, what YouTube does, it takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match as best as possible one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up there just for you. Up here is going to be Avenue 5, is what's going to go up there. Also, if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you can hit the bell down below as well. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you when I'm on. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com and take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every Monday, and I also post it on my Facebook page as well. So it's pinned at the top of the Facebook page. Speaking of Facebook, for those of you who still have it, I have a Facebook group chat, which you guys can post stuff, talk amongst yourselves, all that kind of good stuff. And you can hear Pepper in the background there ripping up her toy. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I have a Patreon page, but no tier set up as of yet. But it will happen in some alternate universe. It already has happened, but now it hasn't. So, non-spoiler first. So is it worth my time? Yes, actually. So what this is, October Faction was actually a comic from Steve Niles. So if that name rings a bell at all, if you ever heard of the book and the movie, 30 Days of Night, where vampires take over this small little town in Alaska, and because of course Alaska being as far up north as it is, you get 30 days of night. So they basically just terrorize the town. It's a really good book. The movie's okay, but the book is a lot better. So this is actually based off of his comic, him and Worm's comic, I should say, uh, from IDW Publishing. And in a nutshell, it's basically a family that the mom and dad uh, have a vocation that the children don't know about, and basically they are monster hunters. And you're gonna say, okay, well, that's kind of cheesy. It gets more involved than that. I can't really say too much without giving things away. Just so you know, Steve Niles, great guy, by the way. I talked to him many, many years ago, but he actually went out to LA to write scripts and things like that and kind of fell into comics because no one would publish his scripts. So he started doing these scripts as comic books and found that he actually got an audience that way, which was kind of nice. And of course, from that, moved into movies, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. But he still does comics a lot, primarily. This came out in, I want to say 2017, was it? The comic itself, 2015, excuse me. Originally published 5 years ago. So not bad. And there is one caveat, though, to this. I'm going to say this for those of you who are looking into the series. Um, it is low budget because IDW Publishing, of course, has to put up some of the money. And those of us who have been following Winona Earp, which is also an IDW property, have known the trials and tribulations of IDW actually contributing to that kind of stuff. So they aren't contributing a lot of money. Um, and there's also a really cheesy take on a coming out story within this series. I mean, really cheesy. It's basically one of those ABC after school specials kind of take. I mean, that bad. For those of you kids out there who don't know what the fuck an ABC after school special is, Google it. You'll see it. It's the stuff that basically like Vince Vaughn got his start on, Ben Affleck, all that kind of stuff when they were young. Actually, I almost expected to see a young Vince Vaughn or a young Ben Affleck come out during this episode. I mean, you'll know the episode when you see it. You can actually skip over the episode, skip to the end of it, I should say, and just oh man. It's badly handled, that's all I can say. There's a couple of things in there that are badly handled. There's some bad acting in there too, and there's some low budget stuff as well because again, they didn't have the money for it. Oh, you've only watched 1 episode so far, Pen. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not going to spoil any more than that on it. That is the roughest part of it, quite honestly, and it's an entire episode, and it's really just kind of like, "Oh, fuck, man, really? You need to." It was badly handled. There is a, um how should I say? There's actually a good section in there that is, anti-suicide, of course, and the way they handle that was actually fairly well done. Um, but the coming out story was fucking horribly done. And it's Damian Kindler who did the screenplay for this, who's actually the show's producer. And if that name sounds familiar, he actually had worked on, Sleepy Hollow, and, I believe he's on something else right now. I can't remember something, big, and I'm blanking on it all of a sudden. But anyway, so he knows how to work on big budget shows. I'm thinking that he really, that part of it is all on him. I'm just gonna say that part right now. Yeah. Yes, Joker, there are a shit ton of Canadian actors in this, that's because they work for cheap. That's why. Yeah. Um, so, with that said, yes, it is worth your time if you find Monster Hunters as a fun thing there. Now, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the rest of it at this point. I'm going to talk about spoilers and shit like that. So if you haven't seen the show, go away. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section and everything else. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. But, so you still there, everyone? Yeah? Those who are gonna stay? Alright. So, you have this family, um Borks is gonna go away. Alright, good. So you have this family, who the mom and dad are monster hunters. They actually work for a group, uh that hunts monsters. They have hunted monsters for hundreds of years, and basically, it's a family-run operation. The dad, his, father and mother were in it as well, so grandma and grandpa are in it. The kids don't know anything about it. All they know is they get moved all over the place, and they think their parents, sell insurance. So, um, they're going through, his dad's death, so they have to come back to the homestead, this place where at first you think it's very white, and so this is another thing that was kind of a problem. At first, they try and play it off like it's a racist white community, and then they put in a whole bunch of, you know, different racial characters, and it doesn't play well. I mean, it's supposed to be like a New Englandy kind of, stiff upper lip, uptight white community, and then they add a whole bunch of people of color. And I'm like, okay, well, which way are you going to go? Because you can't do both at the same time, and it doesn't work that way. So you kind of they kind of throw that part away early on, which is good because it was something you could tell they were kind of playing with, and then they were like, no, and they throw it away. Um, and the coming out story that I was talking about earlier is fairly poorly handled. You could see it coming from a mile away, but there's literally almost a montage sequence of this kid who is coming out, and he is with the son of the in this family, and who's already out, and they're basically running around town as him, outing himself to different people, and it's it's fairly fucking poorly handled. Yeah. But the monster stuff is actually fairly decent, except for we don't get to see the werewolves actually werewolf out. There's supposed to be werewolves in this. There are vampires. The vampires look really cool because they actually have these gigantic fangs that come on out like a four piece out of the tops of their mouths here and out of the bottom of the jaw here. and that was fucking awesome, you know? Um, so that part of it is actually really well done, and then we get into the weird part where we bring in witches into this, and we find out, that the kids aren't, um, their kids. Yeah. And, that is, where you're just like, "Oh, fuck, here's the big twist." So Steve Niles likes to take the familiar kinda stuff where you're like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh, I've seen this shit before." And then he goes, "Oh, yeah, I know you've seen this shit before, but you haven't seen the way I've done it." And then he kind of twists it a bit and does something kinda cool. And, then he goes, "Oh, yeah, and by the way, you like that twist? Here's another twist on top of that." And, it's not like an M. Night Shyamalan twist where it's just out of fucking nowhere and you go, "What the hell happened?" No, this is actually fairly well done. So the kids end up, uh, being not their kids, of course. They are adopted, but they are adopted monsters, if you will. And, the mom, their real mom, who's a witch, is still alive and coming back for them because she actually gets woken up by them. And that's when a whole bunch of hell ensues, kind of thing. So the kids, of course, find out that, what their parents do, which is really good. You get that whole thing. And so they have this mistrust of their parents already. And then to add on top of that, that they're not even their parents. It's like, wow, that's pretty yeah, that's pretty fucked up at this point. Yeah. And then to add on top of that, you've got, um so the way the faction, the October faction, basically the group that they work for, looks at monsters as, kind of inhuman, that they don't deserve to live, they don't think, they are mindless killing machines, that kind of thing, they need to be taken out. When actually, no, they have thoughts and feelings and everything else like everyone else does. Um, and you find out that they've actually banded together. So you got werewolves working with vampires and all that kind of stuff, and working with witches. They've made their own packs to fight back against the bad guys or the faction, which is what the parents are part of. And so you get another twist on top of it twists on top of twists. Oh yeah, and by the way, Grandpa isn't dead. Yeah, and Grandpa's been using witchcraft to bring back his dead son, which is also another thing that's in there as well. So there are a lot of different layers to this, and yes, it's a bit clunky in some places, but the story overall is really good. It's something that we haven't seen. I keep talking about, we want to see something new. This is something new. This is a different story. Coming out story aside, the really badly handled coming out story, the rest of the story is actually good. It's just low budget. That's all it is. So if you can get past some of the acting, if you can get past some of the low budgetness of it, you're gonna have a really good time watching this story. I heard the comic is a bit different. I haven't read it. I'm fairly sure the comic is different. It's Steve Niles. I actually want to pick it up now and read through it because of this, you know, show, to tell you the truth. Um, Stanley Tweedle, actually, we never got into the motivation of the bad guys in the Presidio. Um, they never really tell you what happened. And I'm fairly sure in the comic they do, but yeah, they didn't do that in the show. So it's just kind of like it always was. They were always there, and they never really tell you what the motivation of the bad guys is. So why shoot the lab guy? The lab guy. You have to remind me because I'm kind of, you know, not grabbing what you're putting out there. Um, so yeah, there was. I mean, It's a good story, like I said, and, is it worth your time? Yeah, it is worth your time, especially if you wanna see something a little bit different, and have a good time with your story too, like I said. Having your story subverted as to what's going on. The guy helping the family, um, I'm blanking on it, man, I'm sorry. I am. Oh, the lab guy, why did she shoot him? Because he had turned, essentially. He was working against the Presidio at that point, and, yeah. So, yeah, the her motivations aside, that was kinda shaky as well. So, there was one character in there, I can't remember her name now, let me take a look because I do have the IMDb up at the moment. And sorry for the screaming and yelling that you're hearing in the background, that is the demon spawn that are outside again. So, yeah, Hannah. Yeah, so Hannah, who is that right? Is that Hannah that was there? I believe that's Hannah. Okay. So Hannah, the character that you're talking about, yeah, her motivations go back and forth all over the place. And that's what you're talking about, Stanley Tweedle. Why did she shoot the lab guy? And at first, because she was, the jilted lover kind of thing, and then who knows why. So yeah, it's you got a little bit of bad soap opera ish stuff in there, and again, that's Damian Kindler at that point. Uh, so if they go through a season two on this, some things need to be cleaned up. Of course, you need to get rid of some of the soap opera aspect, which of course they didn't have a lot of in that, which was good. You could see them kind of flirting with it, and then they go away from it. You really need to tone down on the fucking coming out stuff, or at least not make it so there's ways of doing it that it's not just badly done and, like I said, ABC after school specialish. There are better ways of handling it, quite honestly. Go look at Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. They actually do a better job of handling that kind of stuff. Seriously. Um, and also bring us some monsters, man. Give us some money so that we can actually see some monsters. I want to see the faction. Well, of course, now you got the family working with the monsters at the end there too, and I kind of want to see more of that. No, it was not preachy at all, Stanley Tweedle. That's just you on that one. Yeah, that it was just being the like I said, it was so over the top, ABC after school special that was clunkily done, and that's what needed to be kind of, I don't know, cleaned up and just, l done over a little bit more with a lighter hand than it was, because it was just sloppy. So, is it worth your time? Yes, it is. Like I said, you're gonna have to slog through some stuff. You're probably gonna fast forward through some stuff. That's fine. But, once you get to about episode 6, yeah, 5 or 6, somewhere around, actually, I think 5 is where you get the ABC After School Special. It's episode 6 is where things kick in. Uh, nah, you're not one of the angry white men, Stanley Tweedle. It's just some things might hit you a little bit, firmer than other things. So, you just need to, I mean, quite honestly, there's a lot of shit that I watch that I don't agree with, or I don't, this not being one of them. Honestly, homosexuality and stuff like that is an everyday occurrence, quite honestly. It doesn't bother me in the least. The way it's handled sometimes when it's shown on TV, when it's done poorly, yes, that's what kind of bothers me when it's just done like, "Oh my god, really? You guys are doing it that way?" It's like, "Oh, shit." There's better ways of bringing that out there and not having it look ridiculous. Um, that's my thing on that. Um, but yeah, I mean, you there when the show you got to be able to pick things out of a show, quite honestly. Um, Not so much so in Winona. Uh, Winona was a bit different. That's a different show. Production value, though, yes, similar to Winona on the production value, but again, that's because you got IDW money, which is not a lot, and that's what you got going on. And sorry for my slurping down that my cider there into the microphone. Oh man. So yeah, give it a shot. And like I said, episode 6 is usually where it kind of goes around. Was Winona worth our time? That one I can't recommend, quite honestly. I would like to, but it gets a little too repetitive in some portions of it. That one I look at as kind of like Supergirl in a way. Yeah. Yeah, the plot is really good, Stanley, like I said. And yes, it does pull you through, but yes, there is some stuff that needs to be ironed out. It needed to be worked a little bit more. These script need to be worked a little bit more, and I'm fairly sure they changed some stuff from the comic because I've read a lot of Steve Niles work, and I could see the Steve Niles stuff coming through, and then I could see this other stuff that was kinda getting piled on top of it, and I'm like, "Oh, man, this is kinda clunky," you know, and just needed to be worked a little bit more. As I keep saying, like, especially in Avenue 5, the idea for Avenue 5 needed to be reworked another couple 12,000 times before you know, before the final product was out there, so oh, fantastic. You can hear car alarm in the background too. I got everything going on tonight here. Demon spawn screaming and car alarms going off. McClunky? Yes, McClunky. McClunky. Not to that extreme. So what else got going on? Tomorrow is gonna be Project Blue Book. It's gonna be episode 3 of Project Blue Book. Wednesday and Thursday, I'm off. Friday is the excellent Harley Quinn, episode 11 of that. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any other genre stuff you guys wanna talk about and talk about it. Sunday is Avenue 5. Will it be the last episode of Avenue 5 for me? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Um and then, of course, we come back around to Monday with Is It Worth My Time? I'm trying to think of what I want to do for next week's Is It Worth My Time? Hmm. I'll have to think about that one for a little bit and get back to you guys. I might do a throwback of something like really ancient and see what I got there. So, yes, I know Avenue 5 has 8 episodes, Stanley Tweedle. Yeah. Um, it's a rough go right now. It really is. It's a very rough go. It's a very rough go of it. Uh, yeah, I'm not liking it, Philip. I'm really not liking it. And there's some really glaring things in it. Yeah. So yeah, I keep forgetting to mention this to any kind of new viewers or anybody who comes along and watches these videos. I have a 4 episode rule. If the show sucks 4 episodes in a row, according to me, you know what, if I like it or not, um, I'm not gonna review it anymore after past that 4 episodes. Why is that? I don't like hate watching things. That becomes a hate watch at that point, and, it's just not worth it. It's, not worth it to you guys, it's not worth it to me, it's not worth it to the people who created the show, all that kinda stuff. There's an audience out there for it, more power to them. unless it's The Passage, then no one watches it, it gets canceled. Um, and good riddance to that one. So, yeah, it's that's kind of where I go with that. Yeah. The humor is really off, and, actually, one of my new subscribers, mentioned it, speaking of going back to the Avenue 5 there. I didn't realize it, but Judd, the character Judd is a play on Branson, uh, and so a lot of these jokes, I'm starting to realize they're 20 years too late, essentially. And then I remembered the creator of the show is actually European, and Branson is a big, to do over in Europe, and that's where he's coming from mindset wise. And it's not gelling with me being here in the United States, and we didn't really deal with Branson all that much over here. And so that's where the jokes are kind of tending to fall. And again, they're 20 years old. So they're not working at all. Apple Crow says, I'll make my own show. Called it It's Worth Your Hate Watch. No, God, no. Penn Farm Girl says, people at work were talking about that today. Joe Greer, they say it's great. I enjoyed Netflix The Stranger. I was gonna make a really bad masturbation joke about The Stranger. Sure, why not? Well, I'll say it. I'll do it. So The Stranger, masturbation terms, is when you sit on your hand until it actually falls asleep. There you go. That's called The Stranger. There we go. So I'm gonna get a whole bunch of hate mail on that one or hate posts. Philip A. Demick says, as far as other Netflix, I tried to get into Ragnarok, but couldn't get the subtitles to work. Anyone else having trouble? Yeah, the subtitles on Netflix have been doing some really funky shit lately. I don't know what's been going on. I actually had to turn them off on something because they were not the right subtitles to whatever it was I was watching. Yeah. That's an old joke, Stanley Tweedle. I mean, that joke I think was around when the dinosaurs had roamed the earth. Maybe when the protozoa actually crawled out of the primordial ooze. I think that's when that joke came into being. Which came first, the chicken or that joke? I don't know which one it was. Joker says, okay, so sorry. Uh, Omnificent, the Brazilian drone sci-fi show. Okay, nothing there. Yeah. So, oh man, this one's gonna be a real shit show. I can already tell. This is gonna be a one of those ones that people kind of look back at and go, "Yeah, that's where he went wrong on that one. Was all from this one right here." So, like I said, tomorrow is gonna be Project Blue Book. Wednesday and Thursday I'm off. Friday Harley Quinn. Saturday morning blast off. Sunday, Avenue 5, and back around again with Is It Worth My Time to be announced. Um, what else is there? That's pretty much it. We got we have Clone Wars coming up. That's right, Clone Wars is coming up. Lock and Key is coming out actually on Netflix on Friday. That's right. I don't know if I could burn through that entire series in enough time to do Is It Worth My Time? On that on Monday. And besides that, I want to give people a chance to actually watch it. There's a few other things that are coming out. Stargirl's not going to be coming out to the end of this month, I believe. Um, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go take a look and see what's coming out here because I have it all written down in one spot. If you go to suspendedfanimation.com, you'll actually see. The Clone Wars season 7 starts on February 17th. So, yes, I'm going to be doing that. Altered Carbon season 2 is going to be on Netflix February 27th. Definitely going to be covering that. And I'm going to go episode by episode, I believe, on Altered Carbon season 2. I know it's going to be dropped all at once, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it one episode at a time. Dispatches from Elsewhere is going to be on AMC March 1st. I'm definitely covering that. If you haven't seen the trailer for it, go and take a look at it. Jason Segel is in it, and it's kind of based on a true story. So I'm interested in how that goes. And then, of course, Westworld season 3 on March 15th, which I'm definitely covering that. Yeah. So lots of good stuff coming up here. Uh, how about 2 episodes at a time for Altered Carbon? I don't know, Stanley Tweedle. They're an hour long episodes. I know that. We'll see how it is. I'm gonna watch the first couple and see how they go. And if it's Anthony Mackie who's in the lead right now of this, and I don't know how it's gonna play out. So we'll see. Yeah. I am looking forward to Lock and Key. If you haven't seen the trailer for that, go and watch it. The new trailer that came out. I didn't even post that on my Facebook page. Um, it looks really good. It looks really damn good. I'm actually surprised. I mean, it took them long enough to get it out there. It went through what, like 4 different networks before it finally landed on Netflix. So I think it's gonna be good. Am I playing BattleTech? Apple Crow? No. I wasn't playing BattleTech. I was opening up a new page. That's why I had light play all over my face there, because I have the screen on way too fucking bright, because that's what happens when you get older and you get blind. Yeah. So, I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Um, Philip A. Demick says, "So I wanted the Westworld Caprica crossover in season 3. Looks like we're not getting it now." Nope, you're not. Yeah. I think they actually pumped enough money into it, Stanley Tweedle. I think Lock and Key is gonna be okay. It's not IDW. Yeah, anything IDW right now, man, they are hurting for money. And I don't know how they're producing TV shows, quite honestly. I don't know whose blood they're selling, uh, because that's pretty much all I think of. They literally have an office here in San Diego. I walk past it, every other weekend, and I see nobody inside. It's always closed. But then again, it's the weekend, so who knows? They used to have some really cool stuff going on too, and they closed all of that down too. I don't know what's going on with them. But I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Thank you for those of you who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the rambly ass video with bad jokes and questionable taste and pregnant pauses that are in their third trimester. Thank you for that one. That's about the only good joke that came out of Avenue 5 right there. Oh, so until next time, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, because otherwise you may find out that your parents are actually fighting monsters and you happen to be one too, and that's just not good. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow for Project Blue Book. Have a good one.